This week's episode of The Totally Rad Show is brought to you by GameFly.
Red Steel 2, designed exclusively for the Nintendo Wii and Wii Motion Plus.
And Netflix.
On this week's Totally Rad Show, we are releasing the Kraken with our discussion of the Clash of the Titans. We're going to delve into the post-apocalyptic underground with Metro 2033, and we're talking TV, gun-toting Justified, and World War II with the Pacific. Stay tuned.
Three rad movie buffs accidentally scuff the car of a gruff old local sheriff. You guys are cream puffs, he says, taking no guff. I bet you can't rough it with cinematic fluff. And it was no bluff. They were handcuffed and forced to watch stuff starring Hilary Duff. But it made them tough. Now they're strong enough for Shia LaBeouf films on The Totally Rad Show.
Totally rad show, totally rad, totally rad show, totally rad, totally rad show, totally rad, totally rad show, totally rad show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Totally Rad Show, episode number 159. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Totally Rad Show's weekly dose of all things rad. This week, we are going to claw our way to the top of Mount Olympus, stab Zeus in the chest,
And release the Kraken!
Force him to watch some TV.
Oh, there you go.
That's basically what we're going to do.
Yeah, I
we got
like
a big show. We're reviewing Clash of the Titans, but
Matthew Oswald.
Yes, Matthew Oswald. I almost
A
called him
Clash.
Max Oswald. Gave us sort of a Clash-themed, Zeus.
User-submitted background. It's there's something being unleashed. I don't know if it's
I
the
believe
Kraken.
it's the Totally Rad Show's being unleashed.
Yes, indeed.
Zeus is hurling lightning bolts of rad.
Speaking of unleashing things, this is by the time everyone sees this, the iPad will be upon us.
Correct. And next week we're going to be talking about it.
Yeah, we haven't gotten our little grubby paws on it
You
quite
guys
yet.
are.
Some of us
Tomorrow
have projects
for
that do
us.
stuff. For us.
The past for them.
For them. And the future for Dan. Let's get into the show.
This week in movies, we're talking about Clash of the Titans, a remake of the 80s classic we all
1981.
grew up with. And
IMDb.
And what?
IMDb for the win.
Oh, for the year that it came out. And this remake stars Avatar Sam Worthington as Perseus, the son of Zeus, who is trying to save humans by exacting war on the gods, kind of. Go check out the movie to find out the full details.
Which is much different than the 1981 version. The plot, right there, different.
Interesting. I have a very hazy memory of the original. Are you more?
We just reviewed it on Reviews on the Run. The Blu-ray just came out, reissued, and I literally watched it mere days ago. So I have very fresh in my mind.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the whole premise was saving the girl, right?
Right.
That was the whole thing. I mean,
Which
it's
I think
still
is
in
closer
there,
to the
but-
And there's a lot
mythology.
less angst amongst the gods.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it was Sir Laurence Olivier. So he didn't really bring much angst. He was more, he was a little classier.
Yeah.
Than Liam.
Look, less clash, more class.
Ah,
We'll get to your pristine recollection of the original and how it compares.
later.
Before I ask Alex what's Kraken, I want to say that this is released in a faux 3D. We did not see because all of our peers and everyone is saying that the 3D up conversion, basically, they did not shoot in 3D like Avatar, and they weren't able to convert in 3D like the animated films that are. They did this very rushed post-process
2.5D.
that, right, people are coining 2.5D. Apparently it's atrocious, so we avoided it. I'm so glad. I encourage everyone else to avoid this 3D as well. We don't want to support this kind of 3D.
Correct.
Because that may ruin the good kind for us. So, Alex.
I'll fill your Kraken.
Yeah. Fill my Kraken.
My goodness.
Enough Bubo? Too much Bubo? How was it for you?
I like the nod at the very least. I
They
miss my
dissed
boobs.
Bubo.
Yeah, but hey, let's all be. I mean, you just saw it. Bubo was a mechanical bird. I mean, Bubo would have seen out of place in It's a Small World After All. It would have been subpar animatronics for that movie or that ride. So I actually had a really good time. I had real low expectations. I just sort of was like, okay, this will be kind of like There was this sort of scorpion desert battle in the trailers that I was like very Transformers, from that fight in the desert thing. So I was sort of like, let's just see what happens. Inevitably, I had a great time. I enjoyed pretty much all of it. There wasn't really anything that I wasn't part of the plan with. So I had to say I was surprised, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Interesting.
Do I think it's the best action movie ever made? No. Do I think it's better than the original? No. But is it worth going out and seeing this weekend? Yeah, I'd say sure. Why not?
Sounds like you liked it.
My $12 is spent well.
Jeff, does your opinion clash with Alex's?
Oh my God, you had so many lined up.
Oh, it's not done.
I wasn't.
It's not done.
I'm riffing, dude. These are all improvs.
Well, if we have the same opinion, does it mean we tie, Tim?
Yeah.
No, I do agree with him. I think it's a decent movie. I think it's a decent action, big spectacle film. I think it delivers for the most part. Nothing stupid happens. It's a pretty fun ride, and I think you remember the first movie much better than it really is.
That could be very
not
true.
a good movie. Yeah. It was very disillusioning for me to see it again.
Let it be a lesson to never revisit films from your childhood.
Well, I hope that's not the case, but.
Not never, but
and there's stuff that happens in this movie. There are sequences that happen in this movie. The Medusa sequence is fantastic, and the Medusa sequence in the first one is also fantastic. But poor Ray Harryhausen is like, he wishes he could have accomplished some of the things that we're capable of now. And I was sitting here thinking, imagine 20 years from now how this movie will look to us.
Yeah.
Because my recollection of the first Clash of the Titans, it was so overwhelming and visually spectacular, and then I went back and watched it, and it's like, that's not good.
It's more the Island of Misfit Toys than...
They changed a lot of things in this movie. The big beats are the same as far as who he has to fight, and I found all of those fights pretty fun.
Was there a siren thing? I know there was a big skeleton thing.
No, there was no
Skeleton is Jason the Argonauts.
Jason the Argonauts.
Yeah.
I know. That's also with the fleece.
They do fight like
That's
multi-headed
Jason.
dogs that they do not in this movie.
Okay.
The love will not stop here, fellas. I really liked this movie. Really, really, really liked it. Almost.
Probably the sword fighting.
I almost loved it. I thought, as you guys saying, a really fun ride.
Yep.
The action sequences really got my heart pumping. Doesn't happen too often these days.
Yeah.
And I
Hey,
really.
you have a problem with your heart.
There's been a rut. I have not.
You got that monkey heart transplant.
In the 80s, we had the whole slew of the high fantasy adventure epics.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings promised to bring that back, but instead we got a lot of the children's
Drama.
fantasy novels, not a lot of adult high fantasy.
Right.
And this was breathtaking in a lot of sequences. I loved how it was shot.
Yeah.
I loved the action sequences, that desert action sequence,
and the character
and
model
the
of the desert
choreography.
people was really cool. The sort of like burnt wood.
Yeah,
kind of, was really
the
cool.
only thing that bummed me out was it could have been wittier and funnier.
There's no humor.
There's not a lot of humor,
No.
and it's the kind of movie where if there were comic relief guys, it's an expedition movie, and I love that we're getting that kind of movie. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
And if we had an R2-D2, C-3PO sort of companion there, it seemed like they were almost going to, but they didn't.
When they showed up, I was like, oh, the comic relief, and then they never really did anything all that funny, and then left.
Right.
I was like,
If there was something like that in this movie, and if
A little more Burgess Meredith.
yeah, it would have been one of my favorite movies of the year so far. And all the in between action stuff was I was a little bit bored. Nothing was bad, but I was just a little bit bored.
Yeah.
I think the Pegasus was the special effects incredible.
Incredible.
The Medusa I didn't find. I found the Medusa.
Yeah, I
was
thought the
surprised that you made that
no, I
comment.
thought the sequence
is
was
well
great.
choreographed.
That's
I
what I
actually
meant, yeah.
disagree with the Pegasus stuff. I thought that all came off very like. Well, effect shot, super close up, clearly not on a horse.
No, I don't
Effect
disagree.
shot-
I disagree
Yeah,
completely.
really
Me
did
too.
not
I
like
love
that.
the horse stuff. I thought it was,
I really
especially
did not
I haven't
like
seen the
that.
first one. It's interesting though. In the first one, it is Pegasus,
Yeah.
which is the proper name of not like the type of animal it is. It's Pegasus, and it's the last
Oh, I see what you're saying.
winged horse.
Right.
Right.
And there's like a field of winged horses that are Pegasus.
It ain't all black though.
Yeah, it's true.
And we know what to bet on.
Yeah.
So,
Always bet on Pegasus.
moving on, a little bit of interesting news this week passed that I thought would be somewhat interesting to talk about. Just recently, Doug Liman talking about directing a reboot of The Three Musketeers.
Oh yeah.
Which I find very interesting.
Did you
but
see
on
the
top of
poster
that,
on Slash Film that they put on?
Yeah, I don't. That wasn't a poster for the movie.
No,
It was
it
just
was from an Errol Flynn movie,
Right.
but it was like,
not
Errol Flynn, somebody
Yeah.
else, but it was like, that was a gorgeous poster.
Oh,
I
interesting.
wanted to have that framed on my wall.
You should do that.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Shut up, don't say I'm not.
And then also we had, I thought it was an April Fool's thing, but since then it has not been debunked. Paul Greengrass potentially doing a 3D Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah.
And
that Cameron was
with Coolio?
Cameron was talking about doing. I'm combining these pieces of news because Three Musketeers also talking about being done in 3D. And if they don't do the upconvert thing that we're talking about, not going to see in Clash of the Titans, I'm very interested in this because it dawned on me that first of all, Doug Liman did Swingers, did Go. He's very indie film.
Did Born Identity.
The first Born Identity,
Jumper.
right? And I didn't even mean to do this, but Paul Greengrass did the following Born Identities. But both these guys very rooted in
indie filmmaking.
not indie filmmaking, but although Doug Liman with Swingers, but I want not grassroots, but I want to say guerrilla filmmaking,
grassroots.
right?
Which is sort
Not-
of the antithesis of 3D filmmaking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see at those minds tinkering away with 3D bring us something that we were never expecting to get out of the.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna go out.
hesitancy.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say something that might be blasphemous or whatever.
God is dead.
If there is not,
Indeed,
if there aren't, in my opinion, I don't think every movie should be shot in 3D. I don't think, like, Clash of Titans is a great example. I didn't need to see that in 3D. I mean, it would have been okay
If they
if
shot
it
in
was a better
3D,
one.
it would have been a great movie to shoot in 3D.
It's true,
And
but I don't
I think
need
Three
to
Musketeers
sit down.
and Fantastic Voyage especially would be wonderful in
Hello,
3D.
3D Musketeers. The Musketeers 3D.
But this
Oh,
is my
geez.
big worry. This is my big worry, is that everything's going to be shot in 3D, and I enjoy 3D, but the movies that I like, it's not because they're in 3D that I like them. It's because they're cool movies.
Well-
and if I'm forced to see all movies now with glasses on my face, I'm not going to be as happy as I'm
You're just
gonna
being
be.
pulled kicking and screaming into the next thing. This is the next thing. You have to accept
Well, or
I don't have
or
to
it's
accept
not,
it. I
or
may
it's
go, but I don't have to
It's
accept
either
it.
the next thing, but if these things like Clash, like if we get a lot of bad versions of 3D,
That could be
may
good.
kill
It could
the
be-
next. It's
nice.
like laser.
But don't you think that,
know?
this weird
Did you say
intro?
laser pets?
Laserdisc?
Oh, laser.
Don't you think this is
Also,
a
laser
weird,
pets. You remember how big laser pets
Laser
were?
Like,
cats.
lasers were huge until they attempted
Laser
laser
cats were huge. Remember
Laser
SNL
cats.
did a whole thing on
They're
laser
still doing
cats.
them. But isn't it this little interim period with all the stuff that's coming out post Avatar, but that was shot pre-Avatar, that it's only going to live in this little window?
I hope you're right.
I think that's what's happening. Is like,
hope
oh
you're right.
crap, we didn't shoot it in
Here's
3D.
the issue. Clash makes big money. They go, oh, we can save us a bunch of time and money and do what we did with Clash and not have to shoot in 3D and
Yeah.
make that money.
Yeah.
And then it ghettoizes it.
I agree with you that would be unfortunate. I doubt that'll happen because I don't think a
hope
bunch
you're
of filmmakers are like, you know what'll be what I would prefer. Let's just shoot it, and then if you want to put it in 3D.
Someone did prefer. A director said, might as well. It looks. They didn't think it was a bit of difference, and they didn't want to deal with wielding
wasn't Tim
3D.
Burton Alice wasn't
Right.
shot
Oh,
in
it's
3D.
It's all CG though.
No, but it wasn't shot in 3G.
Right,
In
3D.
In 3D.
They had bad,
shot.
very slow connection. Yeah, but it was so all CG. It's not like Clash of Titans were, and it was also they knew they were doing 3D. Like this was like
they
8
knew it
weeks.
in-
They did,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it was planned to be in 3D, but not shot in 3D.
Interesting.
This is.
I want to hit on your other point though because we
Okay.
kind of got sidetracked,
Yeah.
and which is I don't know. Again, the fact that I'm on Reviews in the Run now, we're watching Blu-rays, and we just watched all the Bourne movies. We just did a week of Bourne movies.
So you saw both these directors
back to back,
right.
literally back to back.
Right.
And man, first of all, those movies are good.
Yes.
And their
Yeah.
Blu-rays are fantastic.
Yes.
But I don't know if that type of filmmaking will work in 3D. I honestly don't think.
No one's saying that. No one's.
They would
saying
have to
that-
adapt their style.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not that I don't think that. In fact, that filmmaking I believe doesn't work in 3D.
Right.
But
It's so kinetic,
It's more
it's so-
of. But that's why I want to say it's not like naturalistic in 3D. For me, I'm thinking these
What are they gonna
guys
do
that are
with
used
3D?
that are used to. It's not tentpole filmmaking. It's
Right.
not typical. They're racing through setups. They're thinking about things. Doug Liman thinks about things in very different ways.
Sure.
You know, these guys
He's
both.
the guy that hops out of the car and just does steals a shot.
Right,
in
exactly.
the middle of the freeway.
And that kind of filmmaking with something
Applied to 3D.
Yeah, I
Could be
wonder
good.
I think
what
that's
they-
fascinating.
Yeah.
Could be good. I'm excited for those two
Or
movies.
do those
period,
filmmakers
so.
think of, I'm gonna have fun making like doing it the way Cameron does it? You know, maybe they're
Maybe.
so. Anyway, things to chew on for next week.
Chew on this.
Reload. The video game we're going to be talking about this week is called Metro 2033, and it's from a developer called 4A Games, and they are based in the Ukraine, and it's an offshoot of the guys that did a game called Stalker, which came out a few years ago, and it's sort of the same ilk of this. It's very Eastern European style shooter, and it's based on a novel about the post-apocalyptic future where everyone is forced to go underground and live in these metro tunnels because the surface of the world is toxic to breathe because of nuclear fallout. And it takes place in Russia, and very linear game. It feels almost more like a mix between Fallout 3 and Half-Life 2, I would say. I want to know, Dan, what you thought of this game. It's got some unique things about it. There are the money system in the game is ammo, because ammo has become very valuable in this post-apocalyptic economy.
High quality ammo.
Right. So you have different types of ammo, and the better the ammo, the quicker it'll kill an enemy, but the more it's worth. So you have this trade-off between, do I shoot the good ammo and kill the enemy quickly, or do I save the good ammo and use it to buy stuff? Which is interesting that, you know, have a gas mask mechanic when you're on the surface. There's a lot of things that I would say probably a more local developer probably wouldn't go for, but much like Stalker, there are these weird restrictions that I think makes the game a very interesting one and very different from a lot of the shooters that we're used to playing. So what did you think of it?
I didn't think it was fantastic, so I'd probably give it like a 6 or something.
Thanks for putting a number on it, Dan. That helps me.
Inside joke. Just because that makes no sense to anyone. I mean, I thought there were some clever things at play in the game, in playing the game. I think that there's a lot of really cool scripted sequences that were fun to be a part of, that I almost, in playing them, I wish that a lot of games really want you to experience stuff and are more open. And I kind of really, every time it happens, when a game has sort of a set piece that it's designing me to go through, I love it. I love being in that train and it collapses and I've got to jump out before it comes. Like, I just wish it was, that moment after that moment after that moment. Beyond those things, I didn't have any fun playing the game, and
Why is that?
Well, first of all, I never really shot the good ammo, so my whole experience playing the game was like every enemy that's attacking me
Takes a lot of shots.
A million shots. That's not fun. And I guess I should have clocked into using the good ammo, but I also never really got to get good weapons that often. So that wasn't very fun. The graphics are okay. I mean, everything's just sort of okay. And nothing's gorgeous. The setting, basically my least favorite levels of any game, as you've heard me say a million times, is a sewer level. And this game is all sewer level.
Not all, but mostly. Yeah.
Mostly. And I guess I just don't get why they bothered to make it. Like, there's just in that there's
That's high
I had a great time playing this game.
Why
Why
did
the
you
hell did you
spend
make
money
it?
to make
I
this
just
game?
mean, what was the hook? What was the thing where it's not like we have a deficit of post-apocalyptic first-person shooters. I just was wondering what was the thing that demands to be played.
Russian.
Yeah, it's.
that's
I mean,
neat.
I think that probably they were taken with this story that's in this novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't captivated by the story either. So.
All right. What about you, Alex? Did you?
Well, not as bad an experience, but still, I think inevitably it ended up being something that I felt was lacking. Right out of the bat, it's like, wow, okay, hello, Fallout 3. You know what I mean? And with those some weird sort of like Myst-esque choices that you can make, like even just waking up, and you're like, oh, I can turn on and off my lamp. The fuck do I need to do that for?
Well, it comes into play. There's a lot of stealth stuff.
Well,
in the game.
and it starts to broaden out. And I think some of the things you were talking about, the mechanics with like the gas mask and all that stuff. I think the one mechanic I love was the sort of lamp charging thing.
Yeah.
You know, lamps, flashlights, it's always a hard thing to do, especially like in Jawan where we had to get the batteries and stuff. But it's the thing of being able to go like
almost
the trade-off
exactly
is,
the same type of game, really.
No, but the trade-off of going like, oh my god, everything's getting darker and I'm in a firefight and it's like,
I'm sorry, but you saying that right now, Juwan was freaking fun, dude.
It was fun.
That was so much fun.
It was fun. It was a great 4 minutes.
But that was fun. Yeah.
And you get to the point where you need the flashlight because these shadows are like evil demons.
Yeah, there's a lot of really
cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff in this game. I like the milieu, as it were. I love that we're sort of in this weird Russian thing that's happening, and but again, I thought the controls were a little honked. Nothing felt right. You know what I mean? Like it felt like, like we just with God of War when we were playing God of War. You just feel like, yes, this is how I control this guy. It just feels right. There's nothing. It's just a feeling of the controls, and from the get-go and all the way through playing it, I always didn't feel right playing these the controls. And also, did you guys find it odd that things were X?
That was the context-sensitive button?
It just
worked.
It worked, obviously, but for me, it just was all of a sudden, especially at the beginning, you get used to it, but I was like, ooh, that's not the button I want to push. It's those little things that, in my opinion, sort of take you out, and then you kind of have this hard time
It's like you were driving on the wrong side of the road, like you would be in.
It's like Russians designed it or something, and you're like, what? That's so weird. But anyway,
Ukrainians, but
overall, it was okay, but it wasn't a knockout of the park, in my opinion, even though it had some cool things.
I understand what you guys are saying. I mean, I was very into this game just because of how different it felt, and I really enjoyed being brought into that world, and those things, those weird restrictions that they put on you, and those everything is in context of the world. If you want to pull up your map or your journal, it's just the guy pulls it up on his arm and you're still in the world, and you have to you hold the button and he pulls it closer and pulls out a lighter to look at it, and all that stuff I thought was really, really cool, and the economy, I found that really cool, except that like you, I didn't ever want to use my good ammo because I was so stingy and was saving up to buy things, and so the shooting suffered because I would shoot a guy 1,000 times and he still wouldn't be dead, and I would. And there were some other weird issues
the
of like
AI was also pretty. I mean, like hiding
well,
in boxes.
the monster AI is ridiculous. They just ran straight at you. But there were some odd sound issues. Like you'd walk into, they did this great job of creating really populated hubs of little cities, and it felt like a real city, and it had like lots of things that looked like they would really exist there for these people to live, but then you'd walk in and it would trigger everyone's discussion, and so there'd be this cacophony of unfollowable discussions, and it's like, I want to listen.
And the NPC that you were following, that I don't know if you had the same experience, but when I'd follow him, I'd have to be right up on him to hear what he's saying. If I travel off, I had put subtitles on, but if I traveled off, it was very odd. It seemed to be a little more twitchy. Yeah,
the biggest problem that I had with this game, unfortunately, I was really digging it, and I wanted to finish it. There's a bug. I don't know if you guys encountered this bug, but you put the gas mask on, and when you take damage, the gas mask will break and crack and mess up, and you can't see through it. There's a bug where you cannot remove your gas mask. Wow, so I got to the point where I literally could not see through my gas mask, and all I wanted to do was find a new gas mask to swap for the gas mask that I have, but I couldn't find one in the world. And then I got into this big firefight, and I couldn't see the dudes I was shooting, and I literally got to the point where the game was unplayable. And it's just really unfortunate, because I really was digging the experience.
I feel like that was starting to happen to me, then either I mushed through it, and then the next sequence, or I realized, I just have to hit down, and then it gets rid of it.
No, the bug is you hold down to take it off, but it doesn't work. If you have the gas mask on and you completely run out of canisters, you cannot take your gas mask off. I've looked it up and found out it's terrible.
Wow.
Terrible.
Right.
And it literally messes up your view so you cannot
Yeah.
see.
Wow.
Very unfortunate. Yeah.
Oh.
People, it is time again to talk about some television action. Two big TV shows just premiered a couple weeks ago. The Pacific, which is from the team that brought us Band of Brothers for HBO, and Justified, which is based on a character that Elmore Leonard actually created, and Graham Yost, who was one of the people involved with Band of Brothers and the Pacific, created it as well. We're going to start with Justified. So Justified stars Timothy Olyphant, who we all know from Deadwood and also as the Hitman, as well as other stuff. Die Harder 4, whatever.
He's great in Go.
Go, yeah, he's great in Go. So Justified follows a federal marshal, Ryland Givens, who is ostensibly a modern-day gunslinger. And I think that the whole premise of the show was, let's get the old Western gunslinging law marshal TV show brought into the modern times, but rather than just doing a modern remake of it, actually get that character, the cowboy hat, the cowboy boots, the gunslinger, and bring him into the 21st century, which is what they're trying to do in Justified. Jeff, do you think they were able to do it, and what did you think of Justified?
I do. You know, it's the 21st century. Barely, because we're in Kentucky, so it's
true.
Barely.
It is true. They figured out how to get around that whole 21st century thing.
I absolutely love this show. I dig Timothy Olyphant anyway. I'm an Olyphan.
Nice.
As we call ourselves.
It's also on FX, so Walton Goggins is in it from
Goggins!
Who, by the way, was only supposed to be in the pilot, but everybody loved him so much they decided to extend his character on, which I think is a great idea.
The pilot is an incredible hour of television. I think it would have made an amazing movie. If it had just been that and never even was a series, I would have thought it was amazing. The scenes between Walton Goggins and Timothy Olyphant in the pilot are riveting and crackling with amazing energy. Goggins is awesome. I'm a huge fan of that guy. I think that he just brings it all the time. But then the show gets into a little bit Monster of the Week in the subsequent episodes, and I was really hoping that it was going to be more like Damages or you know, a lot of my other favorite shows, you know, The Shield, best show ever, and have it be more these longer arcs where rather than self-contained episodes. And there are elements of stuff that carries
I think we're
over.
going to get some of those.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we're going to get
But
some
I'm
more
very
of those,
impressed that even with the case of the week or whatever you want to call it, all of the bad guys, quote unquote, the guest stars for that episode are written in a very interesting, very unique, very stylized way that is so fun. It's very Elmore Leonard. It's characters who have their own unique voice and
The
do
writing
things.
is actually very, very
I love the show, and other than HBO, I think FX has the best shows. They're so consistent.
Yeah, I agree. What, Daniel, what did you think? Not so much Justified? Was Jeff justified? I'm trying to do the thing.
That was good. Is Jeff justified in his
Justify my love.
adoration?
Justify my love.
Yeah. I'm very excited about this show. I was very excited to see it. You guys know I'm a huge Western fan, and I don't like the show at all.
Wow.
I found it incredibly boring. I think it looks like, in terms of aesthetic, visually, how it's shot and how it feels like an old TV. You know, pre-Golden Age television that you were like HBO and FX and all these great shows. It feels like The Fall Guy, or
really?
It feels like those old even Murder, She Wrote, and like it.
I was totally thinking Murder, She Wrote.
There's no visual style to it. There was that great trailer for the show and even the opening title is something that I was watching, and I was like, that's what the show should look like. And the opening titles are sort of gritty and grainy. Is that what I was thinking of?
Yeah, well, they're almost like the God of War.
Almost like it was shot in Super 16 or something.
No, there's not really
Am I thinking
any
something
video.
different?
Yeah.
I think it's something
Okay, I might be thinking something different. But anyway, I was like, that's the style. I wish it had more of a visual style. I thought the writing was not, like, and this is the kind of character that is, like, a lot of lesser writers have really shining moments because they get to write those badass moments, and I got no, I mean, here and there, a couple cool things, but there was no Jesse
God.
Custer, there was no Malcolm
I
Reynolds.
laughed out loud at least 3 times in the pilot of like, that was the greatest line.
Yeah.
Didn't get that.
Even in the subsequent episodes. Well, I mean, that's an awesome opinion. I wholeheartedly disagree with you. I think this is great television. I'm happy to see Timothy Olyphant in the way that I wanted Timothy Olyphant in the Deadwood series to progress as this badass gunslinger with this sort of moral compass that's a little askew from what it should be, but that you can ultimately follow along with.
You should become an Olyphan.
I am an Olyphan. It happened a long time ago. I just didn't tell anybody. I have a shirt. But anyway, so I loved it. I mean, I think, this is great stuff. It brings me back into that great Western. I mean, there's the standoff between him and the sort of enforcer guy from the last episode, where they're talking about how a gunfight happens, and you know that the other guy wants to try it, and then goes, not gonna try it. So there's all this really great stuff. I am in. I'm hoping they do a little bit less of the. I mean, I'm also a procedural drama, crime drama guy.
Right.
I'm hoping that they bring more of the sort of overarching stuff that comes in.
What I like is that the first couple episodes, like at the end, he shoots someone every time.
Yeah.
And they've kind of made a thing, like if he says that wonderful thing about like, if a dog bites you, it's not too long before he gets called a biter.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Kid or whatever he says. But it's like, I don't think they're going to allow themselves to have it be that same thing every week.
Agreed. And seeing how frustrated it is when you handcuff a guy who likes to shoot people that you can't shoot people, that'll be interesting stuff. So, Justified on FX. We did also want to touch upon, Band of Brothers for HBO was a huge miniseries. I mean, it should have been called a mega series. There's
got something there, kid.
Huge series.
A huge series, way better. Obviously the big team, Tom Hanks executive producing, really spearheading it. Is Steven Spielberg involved in it too?
Yeah, of course.
And I think all of it was sort of stemmed from the Saving Private Ryan experience that went, we need to delve deeper into this, and then there's been a lot of really great stuff coming from that partnership into all about World War II. Well, now HBO has brought us the side of the World War II stuff that rarely gets its own due, the Pacific theater that happened at the same time. We had Pearl Harbor from Michael Bay.
And Clint Eastwood's movies.
Clint Eastwood's the Iwo Jima stuff, the Letters from Iwo Jima, I think it was
there
called.
There were two, Letters from Iwo Jima.
And then the opposite side, from the Japanese point of view.
That was Letters.
Our Band of Fathers?
Flags of Our Fathers.
Flags of Our Fathers, not Bands of Fathers. Yeah. Anyway, we're back with that team and at HBO. There have been 3 episodes now. Sort of an unknown cast, except for the kid from Jurassic Park who makes a return to greatness. Dan, what did you think of the Pacific? Are you a little bit over the World War II stuff?
I'm not. I'm actually more into the World War II stuff now than ever before, and that's why recently I picked up. I'd seen the first few episodes of Band of Brothers when it aired, and then sort of somehow fell off the wagon there. So then ironically, I made it about 5 episodes in, and then also somehow lost steam on it. And I'm feeling the same thing with the Pacific. I am very bored by it. It's certainly very well made, and there are
boredom this week.
A lot of boredom, and there are.
You should get a hobby or something.
You need something to do.
I have one.
Yeah,
it's called watching movies and television.
I was never allowed to use that word when I was a kid because my parents said, "Are you bored? I'll give you something to do."
Oh gosh,
that's
scary.
I definitely have things to do, but the Pacific. So bored, I wanted to say there are certainly gem moments, but I think that I have a thing with, the miniseries doesn't,
Mega-series.
or the mega series, it doesn't feel like a Saving Private Ryan, and the next week another Saving Private Ryan, and next week a Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
It feels like Saving Private Ryan chopped up into 10-minute
Boring
increments.
parts.
That they're just, because they have a lot of time, they're taking their time. And I wish that we have a lot of time to do a lot of amazing things, not to spread out the amazing.
Interesting.
The action sequences, there weren't a lot of, there's actually a great, when I revisited Band of Brothers, the second episode, there's a great hook to when they're in the trenches. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah.
There's a really standout episode. The action sequences here were like, just dudes firing, flashes of guns. There was no choreography to it. There was no design. There was no storytelling within that action sequence.
Interesting.
Not that I feel even bad saying action sequence because it's more historical. There's great ideas. There's great, you could tell that came from the mouth of a guy who was there.
Yeah.
Love that stuff. I wanted the history. I almost feel like I'd rather watch the war documentary.
Interesting.
Or watch the movie. And then I get this weird hybrid where it's a boring action film and too history-filled, or too drama-sized documentary.
Right. Gotcha. Jeff, how did you rate your Guadalcanal? Something.
Did he canal your Guadal?
I'm embarrassed to admit that I have never seen Band of Brothers.
Okay.
And not even a second of it.
Oh.
I don't know how I missed it out on it, but
you should borrow the
I've
Blu-rays
always
from
wanted to. You know why I actually have never watched it is because it is too maxy. It's too hugey. I've always been like, I don't have.
It's less
3
episodes
weeks.
than
I know. It
all
just
of the other
seems that
shows you
way,
watch.
right?
Yeah.
So I was very excited about the Pacific, and I have to admit, I kind of agree with Dan a little bit. Everything feels important with a capital I as the way they present it, and I want to like it. I want to be like, yes, I respect my grandparents' sacrifice, and I want to understand, and I want to, I want to learn about that greatest generation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not drawn in, and I don't think it's because it doesn't have enough action or whatever. I actually respect that it doesn't come off like a video game or it doesn't come off like an action movie. I respect the fact that it's kind of a somber telling of this, there's those moments where they're killing a lot of guys, and it doesn't ever feel triumphant. It feels like war is hell.
Yeah.
But then we have the third episode, which is sort of just like, let's learn about their love life and stuff, and I just, boy, I was not interested in that, and I didn't really care about those moments. I wanted to find out more about what was happening in the war, but it's just these little slices, as Dan said, rather than.
Yeah, and they almost don't even give you a full perspective of the war. It's almost like they're like, we're going to show you the slice of the guy on the ground's life.
Yeah.
But then in doing so, you actually lose what is happening. I feel like the first episode, with the Guadalcanal stuff, it was like they show up, they have some battles, and then all of a sudden they're done with Guadalcanal. And it was like, whoa, there was a whole bunch of other stuff that happened on Guadalcanal, right? I want to know.
Yeah.
Globally, how does this slice of life fit in?
I almost wish it wasn't the
understand
same characters all the way through. If it was just like, here's what happened here, and now we're gonna go over here and see these guys.
But there is
They
something
tried to
cool,
do
like
that,
Band of Brothers, like you're with these guys from beginning to end. But I
guess.
want to say too that Thin Red Line is also set in a movie in World War II, and very poetic and very slice of life and slowly paced. But I love that movie, and so it's not because of these things that Pacific isn't working for me, or like there's a way that this works, and it's not.
It's not this way.
It's not.
I mean, I totally agree with both of you guys.
Too bad.
Especially the first episode, I was constantly hitting pause and going and doing something else, and coming back and hitting play, and being like, I gotta get through this first episode, so then I can love these characters when they, the S hits the F, as it were, and then it just sort of never got me. And then by the time it was starting to get me, they're off Guadalcanal, they're in Australia doing all this, shore leave, and I'm like, you just had me hooked, and then characters are leaving, and it's like, what? You just got me, don't stop. And I feel like going forward, I mean, I'm gonna continue watching it because I do want to see how it kind of plays out, but I was really disappointed. Definitely not like Justified.
No.
Yeah.
Or just like Justified.
Ha!
Huzzah!
All right, before we get to our emails, we do want to thank our sponsors, lovely, lovely sponsors like Gamefly.com. I don't know if you guys know this about Gamefly.com, but Gamefly is a place for you guys to rent video games, have a person send you a video game in the mail because you say, yeah, I want that one.
It's not even just renting, it's like a subscription to video games.
It is a subscription to all the video games. Video games are very expensive. Video games have been getting more and more and more expensive. And video games can be conquered or finished sometimes relatively short. I mean, not all games are Mass Effect 2 that are just these epic, long-ass games, you know? Or Dragon Age Origins. Some of the games are little candy games.
Teeny tiny ones.
Yeah, like God of War 3, where you just go, boop, wow, that was fun. I just spent $70 on that game. So go over to Gamefly.com, sign up. If you head over to Gamefly.com/TTRS, you can sign up for a 2-week free trial. It's $15.95 a month, way less than buying video games. And if you really like the game, you can click Keep It on the website. They'll send you the manuals, send you the box. It's yours to keep for a lower price than you would if you had actually gone out and bought it. So head over to Gamefly.com/TTRS, sign up for an account, check it out.
One of the games that you probably will want to buy, though, is Red Steel 2. It's out now. It was designed exclusively for the Wii and the Wii Motion Plus, which means it uses that one-to-one, super realistic motion control, and it delivers gun-toting action, sword fighting action.
Nice.
You are the swordsman.
You could combine Timothy Olyphant from Justified with Sam Worthington of Clash of the Titans, fight with a sword and with a sidearm.
Unbelievable. But this game does a different kind of combination. It combines like the Western of Justified with Eastern accents.
Oh!
So there's like that cool like Eastern theme, that Kurosawa type DLE.
I dig
there.
that.
And you can switch between your gun and your sword, block bullets with your sword. I have not sword. I have not played this game yet, but I hear it is so cool. You should check it out. It's out now. If you've got a Wii, it's one of the coolest games that you could possibly be getting right now. I mean, it's a hardcore game on the Wii, so that's not to be missed.
And Netflix is, as you know, online renting. You get DVDs by mail, or you can watch them instantly if you have a PC, an Xbox 360, a Wii, or a PS3. Or an iPad. That's right, they just announced an iPad. I highly recommend, if you want to see a really good modern Western, Way of the Gun. It's out on Blu-ray. Could even be on
Forrest Whitaker directed that, right?
What?
What am I thinking of?
Who am I thinking about?
I don't know, but it's directed by Christopher McQuarrie. He wrote Usual Suspects.
That makes sense.
So,
I don't know what I was thinking of.
I don't know either.
What did he direct?
Guns, something called Gun or something, maybe? Or
No,
Story of the
Samurai
Gun?
thing. Something Samurai.
Oh, you're thinking of Ghost Dog? Way of the Samurai.
Ghost
Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai,
Way of
and that's directed by Jim Jarmusch. But
Nope,
Forrest
I'm not
Whitaker is
thinking
in
of
it.
that.
Whatever,
Finish
finish your
Yeah.
saying. Netflix.com.
He's the Ghost Dog.
TRS.
Note to self, don't bring anything up.
Netflix.com/TRS and get a 2-week free trial, I think, and maybe
I think
some
it
other
might be a
goodies.
month.
I think it's a month now. You're right. They bumped up. They juiced it up. Juiced up. Like another great Western with Asian accents, Shanghai Noon.
Oh, I love that movie.
Do you understand that was coming out of his mouth?
Yeah, a little bit.
Rush Hour, different movie.
different
It's okay.
movie.
Keep going.
Never say anything.
Anywho, also, if you're into
Forrest
video
Whitaker
games,
directed
check out The Game Show, Revision 3's new video game show. You can catch it. They record it once a week live. You can catch episodes coming out Tuesday nights at revision3.com/thegameshow, but you can also watch the unedited live stream version Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern.
You always have to bow
revision3.com.
to the Eastern.
Revision3.com/thegameshow. All right, well, shall we get to our email?
Absolutely.
Yes, we shall. Greetings from Antarctica.
Say what?
Alex, Dan, Jeff, and Mike. I am a graduate student from Florida studying marine chemistry down here in Antarctica for a few
Now
months.
that is an interesting gig.
Yeah.
That's a very, locationally wise, that's a very weird gig. While I love it down here, I am missing a lot of current releases that you're talking about. It's got not many theaters or game stops at, down in Antarctica. So this got me wondering, if you had to give something up for you from your daily life that you thoroughly enjoy, what would it be? Oh, if you have to. Oh my God. This cannot be a person, since that's too easy.
I give up.
Dumb Smasher that I bought. But something that you do or watch or the like. Thanks for all the great shows. Jason Kuchi? P.S. I've included some pics of me and a glacier in my TRS shirt and
Awesome.
diving. Amazing.
Super awesome.
Pictures up right now
So
from the Kooky.
our shirt has been to Antarctica.
That is actually kind of
pretty
crazy
cool.
to think. Oh, not so important, not so impressive. Damn,
Okay,
Mr.
no
Gonzo.
big deal.
Whatever,
Gosh.
I'm going to bed. Jeffrey,
Yeah.
if you had to give something up in your daily life right now, what would it be?
You know, I've actually thought about this a lot. You know, we are obsessed, I think, all of us, with the stuff that we talk about on the show, movies, video games, media.
Yes.
But I have often fantasized about a world in which I just sort of like go away and
I wish you would do
that.
that.
Cabin.
I wish you would live in that.
Wow, I
world.
walked into that one, didn't I? Just live in
You
a
backed
cabin.
into that one with your pants down.
I did. Not a good thing.
Not that way.
Uh,
Dan was there.
and just read books and like got back to earth and nature. There's no way to salvage this.
Would you
now.
be eating a lot of granola and walking?
No, I'm
barefoot?
not talking about. I'm not
you
talking
hunt?
about like going off the deep end. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about like
Being the
renouncing
Gary
all
Busey.
technology. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about being the Unabomber. You know,
Ah.
I'm just talking about like like a month or just a small period of
Or
time
like
where it's
in-
like,
like into-
into
or
the
like
wild.
15 minutes without checking Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Which is not easy. Just experiencing, just kind of like calming your mind and like not being so addicted to stimuli, just experiencing what that would be like. I think that would be an interesting
Yeah,
experience.
That would be interesting.
So what would you give up?
Danny, everything. That's
All
check-in media.
of the above.
What about you, Danny?
Yeah, the same. I would give up all.
No.
Just to see what that felt
This is
like.
the Three Amigos. You can't backtrack now.
I don't know. I mean, I would.
I mean, after making it
I would want-
home for the kids.
I wouldn't want to give up any of those things. So I do not. Though I do think my life would probably improve if I were to not have Twitter and email. I think I would be able. I would think my attention span would
Grow.
become the way it was before the internet.
Oh boy.
But
You could watch 80s,
What?
No, I just know
80s television intros again, where they actually went through character by character and you sat through and enjoyed it.
Right.
Instead of-
I can actually have a two-way conversation with Dan.
I definitely know that my attention span has decreased. I don't think I had an attention span problem growing up, and I've had one since the advent of the internet,
This is the Conversations with Dan.
TV watching. Well,
Hey Dan, so this is really important.
I
Alex
think
and I
you guys
been
have to point the
talking.
finger, but I think all of us.
Oh, I do that too. I'm
moments
just saying.
Like that,
We're just-
yeah.
I'm not
Which is
bringing up
the
my
point
attention.
Dan,
of
I
this.
do not have an attention to.
That's right.
It's
She's
just
checking out
going into
lights.
that world right now. All right.
Yeah, no.
So-
we're all on that train. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Alex?
It's tough because I think I could probably go with giving up a bunch of stuff if I had to, or if the outcome was worth it for me. I mean, obviously you're studying in Antarctica. That I see
Yeah.
why you would give stuff up because that's what you want to do, and that's a cool experience. Just sort of willy-nilly saying, well, I'll give up my car, I'll give up my TV, I'll give up my 360, my computer with MMOs is harder. That would be the hardest, I think, for me to give up would be my PC gaming MMO stuff. I think that would be the hardest. Yeah. But anyway, well, good question. Enjoy the weather down there in Antarctica. I'm sure it's brisk.
It's so cool. That's
and
so cool.
sunny.
I think it's so cool.
And if you see Kate Blanchett, let me just see, or Kate Beckinsale, let me know. I've heard she's down there.
He wouldn't know the joke you're referring to because he's
Hasn't seen
when
Whiteout
came
yet.
out.
Anyway, if you would like to have your email read on the show, or like Matt, you'd like to have your background featured on the show, please feel free to send both of those to fans@totallyradshow.com.
Yeah, we love getting those backgrounds, user-submitted backgrounds. They
Correct.
are really, really cool.
And we have a little bit of fun news. The guys over at Jinx.com are doing a massive 1-week sale on t-shirts, and we've decided to include all the Totally Rad Show shirts.
That's awesome.
As well
That's
as
awesome
savings.
of us.
They're going to be $7 off all of the shirts on Jinx.com from Monday to
major.
Friday.
Major
$7 off.
What?
Yeah. Now you have to go through a specific link track to get to the big sale thing. So if you head over to totallyradshow.com, over in the blog section, we'll have a blog post with some links, and also revision3.com/TRS in the show notes for this episode. Thank you. Thank Jeff when you buy your shirt because he's going to be putting the link in there. Yes.
You know how you can thank me?
Buy a shirt.
Well, buy a shirt would be wonderful. Also, you know,
Oh, yes.
I'm going to plug a few things. I'll do my weekly plug real
Yep.
quick. I'm doing a play right now in Los
very,
Angeles.
very good.
Yeah,
Dan
Dan and
Mike
Alex
and I just
and Mike
came.
came this last night, actually.
Yeah.
It was quite fun having you guys there. And it's called The Psychic. If you are anywhere near Burbank, Toluca Lake area, Los Angeles, would love for you to come down. It runs
Very
until-
fun, very
very fun,
very
yeah,
much
yeah.
worth it.
Thank you.
Yep.
It runs until April 16th. You can find out more on my blog. jeffcanada.com has a link to buy tickets there. Also, Weekend Confirmed. I appreciate everybody checking that out. It's the new audio podcast. You can find it on iTunes and Reviews on the Run on TV in Canada.
In Canada. Nice.
Or reviewsontherun.com,
True.
which is helpful for
For
all those
non-Canadians.
non-Canadians that
Dan, you want to plug anything? Dan will be.
onecoolthingaday.com.
Cool Thing
Still making digestible internet one cool thing at a time.
I love it. Also, if you do want to keep up to date with all of the going-ons at the TRS camp, you can always follow us on Twitter. Twitter.com/AlexAlbrecht/Chef/Canada/DannyTRS and /Snoop Mikey. That is it for this week's edition of The Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Until next time, Kraken.
Kraken!
On this edition of the Totally Rad Show, we will release the Kraken with Clash of the Titans. I'm going to start that over again.
With
On this Totally Rad... No.
Nap.
No. On this Totally Rad Show, we're going to be talking about Clash of the Titans. We're releasing that Kraken, baby. That was stupid.
you left it off and you went to put it back
You're
in.
like, I'm bringing it back. I'm going to bring it back casually. Casually with the
Why are
word
these so
baby.
dumb? Why am I so dumb? Okay.